People, you have to stop complaining about video game price tags. Ooh, video games are getting too expensive now. What are you, poor or something? You would much rather feed your family than buy the latest game for $80? Pathetic. You are not a real fan. I mean, what are you even complaining about? It's not that the gaming industry is just putting the price tag up to make more money. I mean, obviously the prices are getting higher because it now costs more to make a game, and because it now costs more to make games, it means that we get better quality games, because that is most certainly the case. That is definitely what's happening. Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't gonna pay $80 and feed the notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. A, not my call. B, if you are a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school, working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen.
Yes!
When Nintendo announced that their games are going to cost $80, I thought to myself, that's not very good, that's pretty bad. It was very obvious that a lot of other game studios are going to do the same thing, but there's a difference between Nintendo and a lot of these other game companies. Nintendo has consistently shown that they are a bunch of huge assholes by doing very questionable things to their own bloody fans. You'd like to play some of their older games through emulation, well, you can't do that. You want to play their latest games, well, you have to buy this piece of shit console that has got barely more processing power than your freaking toaster. Fans of Nintendo doing something that they do not approve of, well, get sued, you absolute loser. The thing is, Nintendo can get away with this bullshit because they have something that a lot of these other companies don't have: leverage. And that leverage comes in the form of their games. Nintendo has consistently delivered quality games that are actually worth playing, worth buying. So even though people don't approve of the $80 price tag, most of these people that disapprove are still going to buy the console and the bloody games. However, when your boy Randy Pitchford, when he tells you to get on that Sigma grind set, it's not only funny because it's coming from Randy Pitchford, but it's also stupid because this douchebag has not consistently delivered quality products. As a matter of fact, the Borderlands franchise is pretty much on a decline, and I think that most Borderlands fans, including myself, would probably admit that. Borderlands 3 was definitely a decline in quality from Borderlands 2. Tiny Tina's Wonderland was definitely not meant to be a DLC for Borderlands 3, which made the game overall just feel very lazy because it's basically just Borderlands 3 in a medieval setting, and they've definitely not done anything like this before, absolutely not. And then of course there is the Crime Against Humanity New Tales from the Borderlands, which was fucking terrible. And let us not forget that all of this was followed up by the fantastically shit Borderlands movie. To put it simply, I'm not exactly thrilled for Borderlands 4. I'm not really excited at all, especially if it's gonna cost $80. Here's the thing, I wouldn't pay $60 for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Borderlands 3 might be a game that I still think is good, but paying $60 for it is already a bit too much. And New Tales from the Borderlands is a game that Randy should pay me $100 just to play. And this is the entire point I'm trying to make here, the lack of leverage. There are so many games that come out these days that are borderline mediocre slop. Games that I would absolutely not even think about paying $30 for. So why the hell would we even think about paying $80 for this shit? Because your games are already overpriced at $60, I don't think putting it up to $80 is going to help you that much. This idea that you have to pay more for games because it costs more to make is stupid, because not only are most of these games not even finished, but most of them are, well, mediocre slop that I don't want to play, never mind pay for. And here's the other thing. A lot of these scumbag companies have already found other ways to generate more money. Are we just supposed to forget about the microtransactions in single player games? Are we just supposed to forget about the ultra editions, the complete editions, the super epic buttfuck editions, where you basically spend more money to get skins and cool weapons that you'll probably use for the first few hours of the game and just completely forget about the extra $20 you spent on that piece of shit? Are we supposed to forget the pointless season passes provided to us for single player games that give us basically nothing? Are we just supposed to forget of these? The companies already implementing these shady business tactics into their video games are most likely to utilize the $80 price tags for their shitty games. In Ubisoft games, it is easier to get to the store than it is to actually start a new game, and some of the items on these stores are insanely expensive. They are plain and simply overpriced. You are paying for cosmetic items, weapons and armors that probably should be in the main game, you know, the game you have already paid money for, but instead it is now on a store page where you can pay up to $15 just for a bloody weapon. Borderlands 3 had a season pass that allowed you to get all of the expansion packs or the DLC whenever they came out, but then they provided you with a second season pass that gave you cosmetic items and a bunch of other bullshit. And hey, despite the underwhelming amount of content that the second season pass offered you, it nearly costs as much as the first one. And hey, staying on the topic of DLC, there are so many games that have so much pointless DLC that are basically just cosmetic items. These scumbags have already implemented ways of making more money over the years, so I am terribly sorry for not entirely believing your bullshit that games have to increase in price. Going back to my boy's tweet, Randy Pitchfork, I think it is funny how he uses some of the words. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. A real fan. The funny thing about this is that it's the real fans that actually gives a shit about these franchises. The real fans that don't want to see the scumbaggery in their games. It is the real fans that probably care more about these franchises' reputation than the actual CEOs of the companies producing these games. But that's not what real fans are to these douchebags. Real fans are people that shut their mouth, that consume like good consumers, that don't ask questions. They think that Borderlands 3 has a fantastic story and that everything about Borderlands 3 is just fantastic, and the new Tales from the Borderlands is fantastic, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is the best game ever made, and Borderlands 4, even though they haven't even played it yet, is also the best game ever made. They are consumers that just shut up and consume. New product means good. New product means I need to have it. No questions asked. These scumbags, they don't care about you. They just care about what's in your pocket. Sure, it is kind of terrible that there are so many of these corporate scumbags in the gaming industry these days, but I still think there is a silver lining. Companies like Ubisoft might not come out and admit it. They might cope in the various ways that they do, but at the end of the day, their games just aren't as successful as they used to be. On the other hand, you have a company like Sandfall that just, casually drops a fantastic game for $40, a game that I'm willing to bet is going to be most people's game of the year, including mine. So among all the corporate scumbags within the gaming industry, I still think there is quite a lot that actually still gives a shit. And at the end of the day, me and many others would much rather support these developers than, well, these scumbags. So you can take your $80 price tags and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.